Okay. For a while now, I've been thinking about this. For a while, I mean several years, talking about it, and actually not coming up with a whole plan here. So let's come up with a plan. America needs jobs. We need jobs. We also need a better infrastructure because the one we got is junk, falling apart. Power outages. We're going to see some power outages this weekend. It's not going to be a surprise. So here we are. How do we fix it? We built a better electrical system. We put 600,000 people to work. Hold on. I got a plan. All right. We get more power, lower cost, and higher reliability while getting more long-term energy security. This is not a jobs program. This is an energy production program. Big difference. Creates jobs because it builds real assets. So I want to put 600,000 people to work by 2028. Minimum wage, $25 an hour, up to $55 an hour. Starting wage, skilled roles. All right? Basically, you want to work, 25 bucks an hour. All right? Focus on power generation, transmission upgrades, and substitutions to the grid monitors and substations and grid monitors. Grid monitorization. Wow, I can't say that today. Anyway, it's going to reduce electricity cost. Hold on. Increase power availability, make blackouts rare. Create stable, high-skill careers, 600,000 of them. Strengthen domestic manufacturing, because nothing works without power, folks. Exactly why I'm doing power first. Part of this infrastructure, you need power. Without electricity, nothing works at all. All right, you do this, you improve manufacturing, healthcare, AI, and data centers, because let's not lie to ourselves. Potential for EVs, national security, water systems, communications. Cheap power, more power, fixes all these. All right. 3 pillars to this little plan. Power generation. We got to make the power. We're going to do this with geothermal and firm plants. Transmission and grid modernization. Workforce and manufacturing pipelines. I'll get to that. Workforce split. 220,000 power plant construction and operation. 260,000 transmissions, substations, grid upgrades. 120,000 manufacturing, logistics, training, inspection. All right. So here's my strategy. Geothermal is a major pillar. Why? It's always on. No fuel cost. Low operating cost. Modular. We're going to make modular plants. 10 to 50 megawatt plants. Ideal for distributed generation. Long life, 40 plus years. Structure, many small plants instead of a few giant ones. I know I'm breaking the books here. Many small ones. Regional geothermal clusters. Power cells inside cities and industrial areas. Each area can be an island during emergencies. All right, so if you're going to have I'll get to that. Transmission strategy. Expand and harden high voltage lines, build redundancy, monetize substations, add automation and reduce congestion and line overloads, reduce transmission losses, that's a big one, enable local power sharing between regions, yep, has to happen. So yeah, that becomes everything reliable. So you build a whole bunch of small ones instead of a huge one. I'll get to that a little bit more. So maintenance, easy. Standardized plant designs. We build a modular system. So everything's standardized. Standardized means easier maintenance. Okay? Modular equipment, regional service hubs. So you don't have to get it from 30, or you don't have to get it from 5 states over. You can get it from the state over, kind of deal. Predictive maintenance, central spare parts depots. Wouldn't be hard nowadays. Just like telecom towers do or wind farm towers do, they have the same systems. All right? Many sites centrally maintained. Timeline, 1 to 2 years. Build the foundation, 100,000 to 150,000 workers. We're training pipelines. We pay these people day one. You start getting paid. All right, that's important. Geothermal site surveys, training pipelines, geothermal site surveys, transmission planning, pilot plants, manufacturing ramp up. That's year 1 to 2. Here's year 3 to 5. Expansion phase. So we know it's going to work after the first and second year. And then after year 3 to 5, we kick it up. 300,000 to 400,000 workers, dozens of geothermal plants under construction, major transmission corridors monetized, substations, automation nationwide. Year 6 to 10, national scale phase, 500,000 to 600,000 workers, hundreds of distributed power plants, grid redundancy everywhere. Blackout risk is going to be pretty much gone. Okay? Yeah. So yeah. Training model. Paid from day 1. Month 0 to 2, safety, electrical, OSHA, equipment handling, basics. Month 2 to 12, field apprenticeships. Okay? And then month 1 to 3 is specialization. That's when we move them into what they're going to be able to move into. You know? Geothermal tech, grid electrician, turbine operator, relay and control systems, drilling technician. We're making real good jobs. And these are going to jobs, 10-year jobs. Okay, at least. Maybe 20, 30-year jobs. Because you got to maintain them. Okay? Power becomes cheaper. It's a big deal. Less transmission means less loss. When you have one huge power plant that's several states away, you have losses. Every single time it hits a thing, it loses power. Every single time. All right? Think of it as water. Every single time you pour the thing into another cup, it loses. You lose a drop. Then you pour it into another cup. Then you pour it into another cup. You keep losing drops of water along the way. But if you make smaller stations, 10 to 50 megawatt stations, locally, think of it almost like a water tower. If you make them locally, then that can distribute it better. And like I'm saying, be modular. And it won't take up a huge amount of thing. All right? So yeah, economic impact. I didn't forget about this because it's going to cost money. 600,000 workers making 25 to 55 creates 400 to 70 billion in wages per year. Massive local economic stimulus. New middle class trade careers. Domestic manufacturing reveal. Funding approach. Yeah. Use federal borrowing. Cheaper capital. Try to avoid public funding only. It only raises cost via high interest. Recover value through lower outage cost, economic growth, stable utility pricing, manufacturing expansion, avoiding disaster losses. All right? You always hear it. They lost so many billion because of this disaster. You know, if the power's out, you can't work. If you can't work, you can't make money. That's it. There is no objection to that. If the power's out, you can't make money. Sure, you can run on backups for a while. But at the end of the day, the power needs to stay on. And it's more than the plant. If the lines are down, it's done. If the transformers are down, it's done. It's more than just making the things better. You need to figure it out. Yeah, so here we are. It costs too much. Yup. Power failures already cost billions a year. It's government overreach. Yup. This builds infrastructure. The private sector then benefits from stable electricity and lower cost. Why geothermal? Yep. It's always on, clean, fuel-free, and lasts for generations. Why not just fix the grid? Fixing the grid doesn't fix the entire problem. You got to fix the grid and the generation. Will this raise power bills? Short term, should be stable. Long term, it's going to drop them. All right? Is this a job program? No. It's an energy production program. Jobs are the result of the building of these things. All right? And they can't, yeah. What about corruption? Yeah. Response. Public dashboards, keeping you informed. Milestone-based payments. Independent audits. Criminal penalties. Open data. So we're open twice here. All right? I'm not lying about anything. I don't want it. I want this to be open. Everybody knows what went where. All right? So yeah, as far as your left and right and all this on the thing, left's going to see jobs, infrastructure, reliability, clean energy potential. Right's going to see energy dependence, manufacturing, grid security, domestic production. I work both sides, okay? Boom. Workers, higher wages, real careers, no outsourcing. We got to do this with us. You can't outsource building these plants, all right? Utilities become a stable investment, better reliability, modern assets. Consumers, cheaper power, and fewer outages. All right? So I'm trying to keep this one short. But I just covered a lot of stuff, I know. There's going to be objections, I know. But that's it. You make small geothermal power things. Once again, think of it as your water tower for a city or for a large city. All right? Or a water treatment plant. Potentially it could be built next to a water treatment plant, potentially, if the survey says it can. You know, you got to do all these studies. You're going to have to do all these studies. A lot of these studies are already done. We know where this is done. I'm not the first person to talk about this. We've been talking about this for years. All right? Because it's always on. It's not hard. You're taking hot. It's geothermal. You're moving it from the bottom. You're moving it up. You're cycling it through something, and you're putting it back down. You're taking the heat that's generated from that, and you're making power. And it's stable power. That's the thing. It's not wind. It's not solar. It's not it's not water. All right, there. But it's simple. It's simple power. And it's all over the place. All over the place. It doesn't care if you're down south. It doesn't care if you're up north. It doesn't care if it's 5 miles an hour winds. It doesn't care if there's a hurricane. Doesn't care about tornadoes. Doesn't care about storms. The plant doesn't care about storms. You know, obviously the transmission lines do. But less transmission distance means less losses. Less losses mean you're good. If you have an area go out, like I'm saying, shear 2. So you can have, if you get a plant that has to go down for maintenance. All right, this plant, this you got like within 30 miles. Let's say within 30 miles, within 10 years, mind you. Within 30 miles, you're going to have, let's say, 20 of these stations. Within 30 miles. If one needs to go down completely for maintenance, major maintenance, highly doubtful, but major maintenance, which never happens today, mind you. Major maintenance, good. You got 29 others to carry it. You can do this. It can be done. It's not complicated. It's the first step to fixing this problem. But we have to start with power. Why 600,000 jobs? That was the number I came up with. I figure that's what we lost over the last couple of years. 600,000. You know? I figure that's what we lost. We've probably lost more. I don't know. That's just a number that I was working with. Why 25 to 55? That's a realistic starting wage. Starting. That's a realistic starting wage. You can take anybody off the street. I'll train you. $25 an hour. Start tomorrow. We're going to get you in this program. You got to stick with the program. We're going to get you in this program. Give you a real job. Give you a real career. 10-year plan. Stable. Government backed. Does it cost money? Yeah. Is it going to have to be done anyway? Yes. The longer we wait, more it costs. So there we are. Wrap this one up short as I could. There you guys go. I covered a lot of stuff. I know I was looking over here some of the time. Simple as that. But there you go. Build small geothermal substations. A lot of them. A lot of them. 10 to 15 megawatts. Geothermal. Make it happen. Or whatever. Enjoy the weekend having the power out. You guys have fun. See ya.